Right, let's talk about 100% mortgages and whether this one from Melton Building Society is actually any good. I'm Dan the Mortgage Man from Holloway Mortgage Solutions, and Melton Building Society have brought out a mortgage that could let you buy a home with no deposit at all. Now, that sounds great, but like anything in mortgages, there's a little bit more to it. So I'm going to break it down in plain English, the good and the not so good. In simple terms, this is a 100% mortgage, which means you can borrow the full value of the property. So instead of needing a 5% or more deposit, you may be able to buy a home without putting down a deposit at all, as long as you meet the criteria. This product is specifically for first-time buyers, but Melton's definition is a bit more flexible than most. You can still qualify if you haven't had a mortgage in the last 3 years, and if it's a joint application, only one of you needs to meet that first-time buyer definition, as long as neither of you still have a mortgage running in the background. This could work for couples where one person has owned before, or where there's a bit of family support involved. In terms of age, you need to be at least 23 and the mortgage must finish by age 80. Now, there's a few rules around the property and the mortgage itself. The maximum mortgage value is $500,000 and it's not available on new build houses or flats. You can borrow up to 4.49 times your income, which is fairly standard for these schemes. But just bear in mind, if you're able to put even a small deposit like a 5% deposit together, you might be able to borrow more with other lenders. At the time of recording, the interest rate is around 6.05% and is available for a 5-year fixed only. That is higher than a lot of standard mortgages, so it's worth knowing that if you did manage to save even a 5% deposit, you could likely access cheaper rates elsewhere. You can also take the mortgage over a 40-year term, which can help keep monthly payments lower, although you'll pay more interest overall. Now, let's talk about the positives. The obvious one is no deposit required, which is a huge help because saving is often the biggest barrier for most people. The criteria are also fairly straightforward compared to other 100% deals. There's no complicated guarantor setup or rental history requirements. There's also some flexibility in who can qualify, especially with that more relaxed first-time buyer definition. And having up to a 40-year term can help make things more affordable month to month. Now, on the flip side, and this is really important, there are some downsides. The biggest one is you're borrowing 100% of the property value, so you're starting with no equity at all. That means if property prices fall, you're more at risk of negative equity, where you owe more than the property is worth. The interest rate is also higher than deals available if you've got even a small deposit, like 5%. And because of the 4.49 times income cap, it may limit what you can actually buy. There are also property restrictions like no new build houses or flats, which could rule out quite a few options depending on where you're looking. What's my honest view? This is probably one of the simpler and more accessible 100% mortgages out there right now. If your main challenge is saving a deposit, and you've got a stable income, it could absolutely help you get on the ladder sooner. But it's not without risk. You need to be completely comfortable borrowing the full amount, understand the risk of negative equity, and accept that you're likely to pay higher rates compared to other options. And if there's any way you can pull together even a small deposit, it's definitely worth exploring those alternatives as well. If you're thinking about this or just want to know what is the right fit for you, feel free to drop me a message or call to book your appointment. I'll go through everything properly and help you work out your best option. I'm Dan the Mortgage Man from Holloway Mortgage Solutions.